I'm Eric Kelly from KellyPlanet.com. This is a closer look at Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 1, Episode 2, Encounter at Farpoint Part 2. Continuing with our feature-length pilot episode, Q is testing the crew of the Enterprise to prove humanity is a savage child race. We're at Farpoint Station at the edge of Federation space, and something just isn't quite right. There goes the Excelsior-class USS Hood, so now the Enterprise is on its own.
You're wasting time, Captain. Or did you think I was gone?
Lieutenant!
Do you intend to blast a hole in the viewer? You have 24 hours.
Q's back right away, reminding Picard that he only has 24 hours to prove the value of humanity. Riker's like, what are we going to do, sir? And the answer is, go about things as we would normally.
If we're going to be damned, let's be damned for what we really are.
Riker and Picard are discussing how magically perfect Farpoint seems to be. Remember the apples thing from earlier? And they decide to beam down and investigate further. Oh yeah, Riker and Troy meet up for the first time, and we find out that they were a thing back in the day, Imzadi. You'll notice Troy's hair is kind of different from what we become used to. I think this is before Marina started wearing a wig on the show. The meeting with Groppler Zorn is kind of fishy. Farpoint Station is perfect for Starfleet's needs, and they would want the Bandit to build more like it, but Zorn's like, nope, it's just the one, take it or leave it.
We are not interested in building other facilities. If Starfleet cannot accept that small weakness, then we will be forced, unhappily, to seek an alliance with someone like the Ferengi.
The Ferengi are mentioned, who we'll see in Episode 5, and were intended to replace the Klingons as Starfleet's main antagonists, which we know didn't work out. They were replaced by Romulans and the Borg, and later the Cardassians, and were completely changed by the time Deep Space Nine came around. Troy's like, oh no, I sense tremendous pain and loneliness. But they don't know where it's coming from. If you're not familiar, she is half Betazoid, which means she can sense emotions, but not fully telepathic like her mom. Now we're back on the Enterprise, and Riker is looking for Data, which he learns is on the holodeck, which is like the ultimate virtual reality simulator, and this is the first time we see it.
Could you help me find Commander Data? I understand he's somewhere on this deck.
This way, sir. Tell me the location of Commander Data.
Lieutenant Commander Data, now located in holodeck area 4J.
According to the schematics, the Enterprise D has 16 holodecks, so I'm not sure what the J designation is about. You'll also notice that this is before Gene Roddenberry's wife became the voice of the computer. Here we are at the holodeck, which is a pretty neat concept. And this is one of the only times the actor physically walks from the main corridor sets directly onto the holodeck set. Usually they have a portable mock-up they film adjacent to whatever is supposed to be on the holodeck, much like the off-world rings from Stargate. So there's Data, and he can't whistle in tune for some reason.
How easily humans do that. The rear wall.
I can't see it.
We're right next to it.
He said, we're, another one for the contraction counter. Oh look, Wesley's in here too, and I'm not sure why. And he falls into the holographic water. So when they leave the holodeck, Wesley is still dripping wet, which he shouldn't be because holographic water. Dr. Beverly has the correct Commander pips on her collar. They were Lieutenant Commander 2 Solid 1 Open in the last episode. So we have an away team back at Farpoint Station. This time Data, Tasha, and Geordi are along. And further investigation begins to figure out what the heck is going on in this place.
Have you noticed anything unusual?
I can't see as well as Geordi, sir, but so far the material seems rather ordinary.
He said can't.
Team leader. We found something interesting.
Not sure why she said team leader and not commander or Riker. Oh well. Uh-oh, Troy is sensing all that pain and despair again. But where is it coming from? All they know so far is that the underside of the station is made of completely unknown materials. Up on the ship, a big old flying saucer shows up, and although Picard orders Worf to raise shields and arm phasers, he forgets to call for at least a yellow alert, and he never does. So the thing from Independence Day starts firing on the planet, but they aren't targeting Farpoint, they're hitting the Bandy city next door.
You, Tasha, Geordi will beam up to the ship now. Come on. I want to see exactly what's happening.
Don't! If you should be hurt!
You have your orders, Lieutenant.
Riker refers to Troy as Lieutenant, but she's a Lieutenant Commander, which is a commander. On the bridge, they swap out the extras for the main cast, so we know something is about to go down. Picard decides that protecting the Bandy does not violate the Prime Directive, and orders a phaser lock on the flying saucer. Then Q pops in, and he's like, yeah, see, you humans are violent.
Savage life forms never follow even their own rules.
Get off my bridge!
The meaning of that vessel is as plain as the noses on your ugly little primate faces. And if you were truly civilized, Captain, wouldn't you be doing something about the casualties happening down there?
Okay, check this out.
Captain to CMO. Are you reading any of this?
Medical team's already preparing to beam down, Captain.
Why the heck would sickbay be monitoring what is being said on the bridge?
Sir, they're firing on the planet again.
Go to maneuvering jets.
Impulse power to... We have no ship control, sir. It's gone.
The Enterprise has maneuvering jets. I guess those are like RCS thrusters. Doesn't matter because Worf says impulse power, which is a completely different thing, and it doesn't work anyway. Riker and Data show up to Groppler Zorn's place. Picard actually ordered them to kidnap him. Not very Starfleet, if you ask me. And then he disappears. They think it might be Q's doing.
None of you knows who transported him. You're running out of time, Captain.
Captain, suddenly I'm sensing something else. Enormous satisfaction. This is much closer.
Excellent, Counselor. He's such a dullard, isn't he?
Q tells Riker he needs to take an away team over to the flying saucer and pieces out. They beam over, and holy crap, the ship looks just like the underside of Farpoint Station. Troy's like, wow, this ship is super pissed and very angry at the Bandy City. So it's probably not a ship. Hey, they find Groppler Zorn, and he is being straight up tortured. Now Q's back, this time dressed as a Starfleet captain.
Your time is up, Captain.
It wasn't Q that saved us.
Save yourself. It may attack you now.
It was that which sent us back, Captain.
Yes, sir. It is not merely a vessel. Somehow it is alive.
Q and Zorn want Picard to fire on the ship, but he's not so sure. This is the point where they figure out what we know, that the ship is alive, and Farpoint Station is actually another one of those ships that has been mistreated by the Bandy. Then the flying saucer turns into a space jellyfish. I'm not sure what prompted that.
Transmit the message. Leave Farpoint Space Station immediately.
Then it was a pair of creatures I was sensing.
Firing not on the new space station, but on the Bandy and their city.
Attacking those who captured its mate.
Okay, so the Enterprise fires an energy beam, which is what phasers are too, but this is like a nice version, at Farpoint to feed the other space jellyfish. I'm not sure how they knew that would be a thing that works. Aw, now the space jellyfish are reunited and happy once again. Man, those things are huge. They could eat a crystalline entity.
We've passed your little test. Get off my ship.
I do so only because it suits me to. I will not promise never to appear again.
So they kind of wrap this up pretty quickly. Picard and company have satisfied Q's test of humanity, and as we know now, we'll see Q here and there for the next 30 plus years.
Let's see what's out there. Engage.
The thing Picard said there at the end, let's see what's out there. This is the only time he says this in TNG, but we find out decades later that his mom used to say that to him. I've heard, actually, from the cast itself that they find this episode kind of slow. You can definitely tell there were a bunch of script rewrites and the story was stretched into 2 episodes. They brought out a lot right away. We get to see the Enterprise separate and recombine. We get to see the holodeck, which drives a lot of plots in the future. Q is involved already. Riker and Troy's previous relationship is mentioned, so is Picard and Beverly Crushers. Speaking of which, I left out a whole lot of the Crusher stuff, which carries all the way to the storylines of Picard, the show. So I guess I should explain. Long ago, Jean-Luc Picard was best friends with Beverly's husband Jack, who was also Wesley's father, and he was killed on an away mission, and Picard brought his body back to his family when Wesley was very young. They're also setting Wesley up to be an integral part of the crew, which I never thought made any sense other than to try to appeal to a young audience. I forgot to put this in my video for part 1, but when Picard decides to separate the ship, he notes star time when transferring command to the battle bridge. This is the only instance star time is mentioned, and I'm not really sure how it works. The star dates themselves divide the day into increments. That's what the decimal's for. And even then, how many hours are in a day? They mentioned 24 here, which of course is based on Earth. But Bajor has a rotation of 26 hours, so that's how long a day is on Deep Space Nine. I'm sure this is just a big headache. There are all kinds of comments I have about these early uniforms, but I'll get to that in future videos. That was Star Trek The Next Generation Season 1, Episode 2, Encounter at Farpoint Part 2. I'm Eric Kelly from kellyplanet.com. Live long and prosper. Hi, it's me again, and if you liked that video, please hit the button so that I know, and if you didn't, well, that's okay too. Sometimes I miss stuff or I'm completely incorrect, and if that's the case, please let me know in the comments so I can fix my brain. Here are some other videos that I've done, and there's more Trek and other content from me on my website, kellyplanet.com. See you next time.